I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to become a trustworthy person. A person that is actually worthy of trust. How to develop this trust in your life. Because actually, what most people don't see is that becoming a trustworthy person is something that you become. You become a trustworthy person. And I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how critical this is for manifestation and how you actually need to become a trustworthy person in order to feel fulfilled in your life. So, if you want to work with me, all the details will be down below. Now, the first thing that I want to share with you is to understand that trust is earned. Trust is earned. You don't just like randomly have trust in your life. You don't just randomly get trust. You earn trust through action. And what is even action? I think action is very misconstrued, and people really misunderstand action as a whole in life. People really don't understand what action is, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper here, which is the understanding that actually action is not just the acts that you're taking at a physical level. Action always starts internally before it happens externally, right? So when you're going through your life, actually the most important thing that I think to consider is, do you actually understand that action actually starts with your mind? Action definitely starts internally, and it starts with picking the thoughts that you are resonating with, that you actually resonate with. This means that you don't just choose the physical actions that you take in the world, you also choose who you are at an identity level. And so when we fail to choose who we are at an identity level, and we're very fragmented, right? The consciousness becomes fragmented. What happens is that there's going to be very little trust in your life. You're not going to feel like you trust yourself. And people are going to feel a really weird feeling off of, because energy never actually lies. See, when you're talking with somebody, it's not just about what they're saying, it's also about who they are, how they're saying what they're saying, right? And you can feel this. So I'm not saying that necessarily at all, actually, that one person is better or one person is worse. But there are different frequencies, right? And different energies, if you want to call it that. And what happens is that when you're shifting from one energy to another energy, there's going to be somebody in the universe, some being in the universe that has already embodied that level of frequency and energy that you desire, or is on the same path as you, and they have trusted themselves to get there. And this already exists. It already exists because everything already exists in this present moment. So, and there's going to be opposing forces, so to speak, that are contradicting that frequency that you're going to. And so you're going to feel like some things are just not in alignment with that new energetic frequency that you're embodying in your life. And it's very critical, I've found, to 100% own that and trust that, because at some point you do need a little bit of individuality in your life, right? I don't really care how spiritual you think you are, or how one you feel with consciousness. Look, the oneness of consciousness doesn't contradict having a strong sense of individuality. Individuality and having extremely strong boundaries with your frequency in the other frequencies that are not aligned with who you are being. You need this. It's just an absolutely critical component. Like everybody thinks, like some people think like, oh, the ego is bad. Ego is bad. Kill the ego. Destroy the ego. I don't think the ego is bad. The ego is personally my best friend. The ego is absolutely my greatest friend because my ego is on my side. And I have other egos too that are also on my side. And there's other egos that are not necessarily on my side, so to speak. But I don't like to say it in that way because actually I'm just not gonna conversate with those people. I'm not gonna even engage with those people. See, people talk about like morality and like ethics and like being a good person and like following rules, but it's like I found that, and this is gonna sound, I know I say this a lot in the videos, but I just can sense that I sound really, really arrogant sometimes. So as usual, I know that this sounds very, very arrogant, but what I'm trying to say is that some people just are gonna be on my side, others aren't, and I really believe that we don't need morality and ethics when you understand the nature of consciousness itself. Because you'll see that you can create your own reality and you can co-create with others that are also resonating at a similar reality. And what you do with that is you just simply ignore the other people and the other frequencies that are just not at that same level. Not that it's necessarily a better level, it's just a different level. It's just a different level of consciousness. Like I can see the shadow. I can see the shadow. I can see the chaos in the world. I can see that all of these different frequencies exist. I don't necessarily perceive it as good or bad, but it is bad, relatively speaking, and I'm not going to be part of certain things that happen in the world. I'm just not going to be a part of certain frequencies that I'm seeing. I just will ignore them, right? Because think about it. One powerful way that you can become a manifester of your reality is how much can you simply ignore the shadow? How much can you ignore the shadow? How much can you ignore the negativity? How much can you ignore all the fears and the people trying to bring you down and all the things that are out of alignment with who you want to be? How much can you simply ignore that? And when you do that again and 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 again, eventually what happens is that you become very, very trustworthy. You become very trustworthy. And there's going to be other people that want a little bit of that trust, and you can give them a little bit of that trust. And that's, of course, going to come at a cost. And that cost is you're opening up your energy field to different frequencies, and you're going to try to invite them into your frequency. And that comes at a risk. It's always a risk. It's always a risk to step into different realms, into different people's consciousnesses. And this isn't fear-based. This is not fear-based. It's not about fear. This is actually love, because it's about the understanding that not everybody is at your frequency. And the key sometimes is to understand that it's not about separation, ultimately speaking, but sometimes there is a little bit of separation. You do need a little bit of separation at some point. That's what you need, right? You need a little bit of separation. So what I'm sharing with you is that integrity is absolutely one of the most important things that you really need to understand when it comes to becoming a trustworthy person. So this means that when you're trying to become something, when you're trying to step into a certain frequency, you got to tell yourself, this is who I am, and you got to align with that at all costs. At all costs, because you already know what's going to happen if you don't do that. You already know where that road is going to take you down. You already know how that's going to pan out. You already know where it's going to go. So what I want to conclude this video with is to follow what you feel attracted to. Follow what you feel attracted to. The way that you become a trustworthy person is by following what you feel attracted to and just going in that direction. You just go in that direction and you trust it and you ignore everything else. You ignore it because it's just simply the past. You're ignoring everything else because it's just simply the past. You already saw it. It doesn't mean you're scared. It doesn't mean that, oh my gosh, maybe I need to face something. Maybe no, it's like, no, you've already been down that road. You've already seen what that's like. And you're simply making a choice to be aligned with your values because you see the consequences of doing what you've already done. You've already learned certain lessons. When you learn certain lessons, don't you want to not repeat those lessons? And if you stop repeating those lessons, that means you become more wise. And then when you become more wise, you start to trust yourself and you deserve to be a trustworthy person because you're learning from your mistakes. And with that, I conclude this video. Once again, all the details for working will be down below. Enjoy the rest of your day and I'll see you in the next video.